Hey Duluth, I am Mayor Roger Reinert, and you are with us for another, I always have to look, episode of Welcome to Duluth. There were other things we thought about calling this, and some of them are still stuck in my head. Like for all of you vacation fans out there, the movie Good Talk. That was another option. But welcome to another episode of Welcome to Duluth. Just a reminder, these are just conversations with folks in our community. We're trying to hit some different kind of groups of folks. So we've talked about city services. We've talked about major events. Last time we talked with Russ Salge. We've talked about nonprofit activities. But another group of folks that I'm interested in visiting with are just interesting people with fascinating stories that represent, I think, the diversity of folks that we have in this place we are lucky enough to call home. So I'm really honored today to have with me Chris Owen. Chris is a renowned tattoo artist in town. If you know somebody who has a tattoo, Chris either did it or they certainly heard of Chris along the way. Chris also has, I think, a fascinating personal story, and also has some additional business interests in the community. So, welcome, Chris. Thanks for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
So let's start just by talking a little bit about yourself. Are you from Duluth? You came here. Like, what was the Chris Owen origin story?
Oh wow! So I was a pastor's son.
What?
You know, as a kid, my folks started churches on the East Coast when I was young, and they met in the church. It was very, it was a lot of moving around because they would just kind of go from place to place and start churches. So it was a huge part of my life. It was your typical PK. I got into a lot of trouble as
pastor's kid for folks at home.
I don't, not all prejudices are true, but that was true for me. And I learned a lot the hard way as a kid. We bounced around, and we moved up to Boston in elementary school, and then moved to Duluth when my folks got out of the ministry. In middle school. So I've been here since I was 12, and I do consider Duluth home. Maybe the lake more than the city. Yeah. Even if people ask where I'm from, I'm like, Lake Superior. It's like, okay. The place, the lake has a part of my heart and soul. It's like a person. It can be angry or healing or
I think for a lot of people, it's like where they're anchored.
Right, So. And I think physiologically, the negative water molecules actually play well with our relaxation. I think it's primordial, sit by a babbling brook or have a water feature. Yeah. And it speaks to the soul and the fluidity is.
So what were your folks doing when they left ministry and what brought them to Duluth?
Well, my mother grew up here, so we do have long-standing ties on her side here, and going all the way back, and then northern Wisconsin as well, going all the way back. And so they moved here, got into real estate, and started renovating houses. We were doing that my whole life, really. They've won awards for houses that they've renovated. With the Historical Alliance, I think it's called something different now.
Yeah.
So
being entrepreneurial and being having an eye for beauty, art, like that's kind of been part of the family story.
It ties right in, and it can be a blessing and a curse to see things the way that they could be. And when I see an old house or an old building or something from the pages of time that maybe should be
something different
perpetuated, then it doesn't freak me out if it needs a lot of work. Anything worth doing takes a little time and hurts a little somehow.
and you've been in there and seen that it's hard work. So.
Yeah, but it is cool to just kind of project a vision and whatnot. So we moved here in 92, and
so were you all Woodland?
We were all over. We bought houses and flipped them, and so I've pretty much lived in.
But every Duluthian's going to want to know: are you an East, Duluth East, or Denfeld, or?
I mean, I did graduate from East.
All right.
By the hair on my chinny chin. But we just had our 25th high school reunion,
Okay.
actually, which I wasn't going to go to. And yeah, people know how to get a hold of me.
Right.
And then I started thinking, it's like, yeah, but you don't call anybody anyway either. So
Nobody calls
it's
anybody
like, go
anymore.
say hi to your friends. Don't overthink it,
Yeah.
you know. And it was really great just
Oh, that's
seeing how
cool.
everybody's doing and hearing about kids and careers and life, you know.
Did a lot of people come back for it?
There were more than I thought, and
Okay.
you know, and familiar faces I hadn't seen in many years.
Okay.
You know, so it was really just cool to catch up with folks and stuff like that. So,
Neat.
you know, it's been a great town to call home and grow up in,
And now you've got a couple kids, right?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
One
Georgia.
just left for college?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Georgia's off to Chicago, so she.
How does that feel? I've got another
It's
buddy who's
horrifying,
coming
you know?
next. Yeah.
Yeah, we drove her down there, and then we just unpacked all of her stuff, and then we just left her there. We went back. It was like,
It's gonna be fun.
it was, but she's got a great head on her shoulders. So Georgia's 19, Fred is 16, and
Okay.
they're just great kids.
I don't think I've met Georgia. I've met Fred. Fred is sharp
He
and witty.
maybe a little too sharp sometimes. He can be, you know.
First time I met him, he like cut me down.
Oh man,
I still
he does it to me every day. So we should team up. Razz him
Fred?
up a little. We're coming for you, Fred. No, he's a great kid too. Georgia took a gap year and just got her license as a tattooist, so
Oh, wow.
she's working in Chicago. Minnesota's one of the top 3 states in terms of stringency of getting your licensure, and so you can basically get your license by a reciprocity.
So I think a lot of folks would be curious to know, like, how does one become, like, what drew you to that, and then how do you become a tattoo artist? And then I'm sure there's also another layer of operating a business and not just doing it for someone else.
And that represents a whole another set of opportunities and challenges as well. I've always been drawn to the arts.
Okay.
It's always been something. I always appreciated art class. Sometimes I think our passion precedes our purpose in life, and then once you're on the path of purpose, the provision is always available, you know. And so I just I loved art. I always loved art. I definitely wanted to find something that was a viable living within the arts, which can be a challenge. I've done the coffee shop thing, and I was working with Brian Olson, who's done a lot of really amazing murals in town. The Tavern on the Hill, and as well as in Superior. Brian's an amazing artist, and I was working with him, and I was on my way out to the U of U to get a degree in fine arts and art history, and there was a shop owner downtown that wanted some mural work painted, and so it took about a month to do 3 murals in there, and it was just kind of a stone in the stream, as it were, to get out to Utah. And just for the record, art student in Utah basically is code for snowboard bum. So, you know, during that month, I was kind of thinking,
I don't know if the audience would have picked up on that.
No one has ever paid back an art degree for, you know. So
all right, future mom and dads and everyone who feel like when your kid comes and says, like, this is
like,
what
oh
they
boy.
mean. Yeah.
No, and so, I mean, honestly, I was just kind of looking around during that month time, and I was like, boy, I'm going to go pay a lot of money to do art. You know, a degree at a university is expensive.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of nuts and bolts. And so I was thinking, these guys are making a lot of money doing art right now. It was the spring of '05, and in the fall of '05 is when Miami Ink came out. And so essentially that opened up this subculture, this ancient craft that was probably born with charcoal in caves somewhere. They found remains of humans with tattoos on them that date back, you know, 10,000 BC, carbon dated, all that stuff. Ironically, you know, we know that acupuncture goes back as far back as some of these early tattoo mummified people with tattoos, because a lot of those tattoos correlate with known acupuncture sites. And then they did autopsies on the remains, and were like, oh, this individual suffered from these ailments, and the ailments that were represented in the autopsy were confirmed with known acupuncture sites for those. And so I think we spin it like the ancients.
The new science is really the old science. So
well, people want to spin it like, you know, these plant-based remedies and stuff like that are like alternative medicine, but I think the reality is that's the original.
Right, it's the original, right? The OG is
these you know, pharmaceutical companies that came out 100 whatever years ago.
That's fascinating. I didn't know that history or connection. and I won't derail us with too many stories, but I'd never done acupuncture before I was deployed in Afghanistan, and was having a leg issue. I mean, you're wearing a ton of combat gear on a daily basis. You're in combat boots.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
Oh, I'm
I've
proud
never
to
served, but I come from a big military family.
Thank you. There was an Army PT who knew acupuncture, and he's like, I really want to do this. And I was so skeptical. I'm like, I don't know. This seems really new age. I don't know.
It seems wacky.
Yeah, and it was so effective, right? So just that, interesting that something that we have evidence from thousands of years ago is still an effective, but we consider it, or some consider it, I considered it like, I don't know. So
alternative.
So instead of painting murals, you got drawn into painting people.
After I decided, I was like, well, I'm just going to ask. And I asked the shop owner if he would be willing to train me in tattooing, and he said yes. And so I started my apprenticeship 20 years ago this year. And so,
and is that typical? You understudy, apprentice with somebody?
It's one of those. It's one of the last trades where you kind of just have to find someone to train you and hope they, are going to teach you a few things. The reality is, you kind of have to hopscotch and gain your education through experience and from a variety of sources. I do think that there are tattoo schools or universities and stuff like that, but I don't know how successful they've been over the years in total. I mean, some of them, there are online platforms that are doing much better than probably in person.
Are there different styles or more? I mean, absolutely. Were you attracted to, in terms of somebody you wanted to apprentice with, was it about like their artistry, technique, like what? And maybe you've done several to try.
It's just getting your foot in the door for the most part, and then the consistency is key. And so I started my apprenticeship that spring, and I was kind of a realist artist. I like doing representational stuff. I like doing still lifes, painting wise, and portraiture, classic realism. And
so you paint in addition to?
Right. I was a painter before.
Murals, right.
And so then and so like,
folks, I have no talent whatsoever, just for the record.
We're all artists in our way. The canvas has changed, but we've all got the creative spark.
That is wow.
I don't care what you're doing. Pride in a process.
Yeah.
That's art to me.
Yeah.
And a little bit of give a crap goes along.
So do you remember like the first person or like the first money? Like, actually I was able to pay the bills because I have this talent and now I've learned to do something.
It was pretty, I mean, it you got to crawl before you walk in any realm. But I wasn't getting much support in the fine art realm in terms of realism. But especially at the time when you could do a portrait on someone's skin of their grandfather, grandkids, or it's the story behind the tattoo that I think a lot of the shows brought, especially to, it was the why factor.
Sure.
Really, you always heard, well, why would you do this to your body?
Yeah.
Well, I got the bass fish tattoo because my uncle raised me when my parents passed away in a car accident unexpectedly. I had emotional issues. And you get the backstory, and not everybody can relate to the bass tattoo, like Uncle took me fishing, and this represents him. But everybody can relate to hardship, I think, and to challenges in life, and dealing with unexpected things, dealing with missteps, dealing with whatever, and getting back up and continuing. People can relate to the resilience and the story behind it. And so
when did you make your way back to Minnesota and
that was 92. Okay. I didn't go to Utah. I was trained here in Duluth.
Oh, okay.
But I did meander from Duluth, and I basically tattooed all over the Midwest at this point.
When did you start your first studio?
That was in 2014. So I went and asked the Arnold. I don't know if anybody in the community remembers Jack and Barb Arnold. Yeah. They were like surrogate grandparents, and hello to the Arnold family. I miss the grandkids and stuff. But I decided I wanted to start my own studio just because I wanted to kind of control the environment, the creative environment. And it can be tough when you're in somebody else's studio, and I worked in a lot of 8 studios prior to starting my own, so I I didn't just jump right in. It was probably 9 years of tattooing or so prior to that. But I just wanted to kind of up the ante, and Arnold's had a building that was the old Moe and Tire down on Superior Street.
Yeah, right.
And they're the ones that started Sir Benedict's.
So people who don't have long Duluth memories, that would be just past the Portland Malt Shop.
Correct. So. Yes, sir. Yep. And so I wasn't even going to ask them. I was like, there's no way they're going to rent to me. But the answer is always no unless you ask. So I'm
looking off camera because I'm like, this is my motto in life. If you don't ask, the answer is no.
The answer is no unless you ask. And so, I try to ask the right way and with the right considerations.
Like you can do it in a way that increases your odds.
How we do what we do is always more important. But so I'm like, there's no way they're going to say no. I'll go get or say yes. I'm going to go get my no, and then I'll keep looking. And I met with them like 3 times because they lived right below.
Yeah, right.
And so it was really kind of, and they're in their 80s, and it's a generational thing, a little with tattoos. But they're kind of invited me into their home, and so I just it was amazing. Barb would come up; she was in her 80s, and be talking with people while we were tattooing, and she was just a gem of a person. I miss her so much. She passed away a few years back.
Yeah.
But it was just a really cool culture there, and we were right on the lake. And once they passed away, they went and sold the building was sold, and so we
now you're up in Woodland.
We're
right?
in Woodland now.
Okay.
Yeah. We went to Canal briefly, and then that was just like, I think every small business has to decide what they want to do at some point. You go from wearing one hat, that of the technician, a tattoo artist, to wearing 3 hats, the technician, the manager of people, and the entrepreneur. And that's why I think a lot of small businesses fail in that first 5 years is because it just becomes exhausting doing 3 positions simultaneously.
Yeah, right.
And if you want to have any sort of, I've been a single dad, and
you're also a parent.
Single anymore, but
maybe you want a life.
If you want a life, you've got to stay in balance. Balance is key, I think. And so, I've always just kind of keep choosing the artist, and creating. It's like if a painting's not working or a tattoo needs to be addressed, it's like, all right, well, just shift gears and make it happen. So
your studio is right on Woodland Avenue,
it is,
right? So
it's on Red Wing Street now. I shifted gears from Canal. I got tired of blowing rent every month. And just wanted to build equity.
Yeah, and so you bought?
Yeah, downsized, bought, and Georgia took a gap year after high school, and I just kind of worked with her for the last year and a half.
So what's the studio address if folks want to find you?
15 West Red Wing Street in Woodland.
Oh,
it's a beautiful community.
Yeah. My notes. I got
it. We're right across from the Montessori school. Which it's just kids laughing all day. It's such good energy, and it's a slower pace. I can focus on my work, and I don't have to manage things.
Yeah. What's the most interesting or memorable thing that you've done for someone?
Oh, wow. Well, being a tattoo artist it's one part art, it's one part surgery, playing with people's blood, but it's also a part service for me. And so I do look at it in terms of, the deeper meanings that essentially, lead us to do why we do what we do and why.
Right.
And so a lot of memorial pieces, it's amazing when you get done with a piece and somebody had for a loved one lost or whatever, and you just see them cry. You're making a difference in people's lives, or cover up work. We had touched on that. Just seeing somebody that, I do gang cover up stuff. I've done all kinds of stuff. It's hard to be the new person when the old one's looking at you in the mirror.
Yeah.
And with tattoos being quasi-permanent, I'm not going to say they're totally permanent because I've seen amazing things done in terms of removal and cover-up work and stuff like that, but not all the chapters of the book represent the current, situation. So it's nice to help people move forward in ways that I can, and to just to help them be who they want to be. You learn a lot about people, what they have tattooed on their skin. You learn their story. I think it was Jack London that said, show me a man with a tattoo, and I'll show you a man with an interesting past.
Oh, I had
show
not
me a
heard
person
that.
with a tattoo, I'll show you a person with an interesting past. But, it's true. You learn a lot, and you learn a lot about the world.
Well, like you said, they tend to be, right, they're significant to take that step of like imprinting something. And clearly it's been a kind of a part of human DNA for, as you pointed out, tens of thousands of years. I know I just heard a story in the news the other day, like a mummified person in like Peru that had tattoos.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, as you said, I mean, it was like 10,000 BC or something, like
Yeah.
so arguably one of the oldest art forms. So there's something there that's been important to humans for as long as we've been around. But I remember, so we first met when, and I've got 2 tattoos. If you've seen me running or in the summer, folks always seem surprised to know that. And as you said, like, they're significant to me. And I think one of the favorite things that I have happen is people ask about them, and then you get to tell the story.
Sure.
So, one is related to running some big races that I've done. But the other, and this was how I ended up meeting you, was before I deployed to Afghanistan. I had gotten one with my then wife, who had a matching one. That was coming back to something you said right at the beginning. It was about how we both had a real connection to the lake and Lake Superior. And so it involved an anchor and geocoordinates of a spot right on at Lafayette, actually on Lake Superior. And so, as you also said earlier, oftentimes they're like challenging things in life, or chapters that we have. I think the road's not always straight, and went through that deployment. Went through a divorce not long after, and was sort of like, well, now what do I do with it? Like, it represents something, and I just my mind kept coming back to, well, there's still things here that are true. Like, I'm still anchored in the lake. Like, that spot is important to me. It's still a place I spend lots of time. I was out there on National Night Out. And so then I had the idea of, well, I'm just going to add the outline of Lake Superior. And then it pulls it all together. It gives it new meaning. The old is not lost. That's still an important part of my story.
Part of the story.
Yeah. So I actually, driving by your shop on Superior Street, was like, I'm going to check this guy out. I mean, it's probably not the most challenging artwork you've ever done, but it was great getting to visit with you. And I remember you talked then about working with some Teen Challenge folks and others who were really trying to start a new chapter in life. But to something you just said, kept looking in the mirror and seeing the old them instead of the new that they were working so hard to become. So how did you, what drew you to working with folks like that? That's maybe not something everybody would do.
I actually went through the program, in 2011. It was rough. I got into a bunch of trouble as a kid, and just, it's the storms that strengthen us, I would say. It was FDR said, smooth seas to not a weathered sailor.
Right.
It's true. So I think that, I embrace the storms, and I don't think, addiction or alcoholism really knows any bounds in terms of socioeconomic, ethnic backgrounds. I mean, it's definitely something that, it's a slippery slope, and I just slid right down that hill, man. I really did, and
well, it's the nature of addiction. Right?
Yeah. I mean, you turn around and go like, oh my goodness, you hardly recognize yourself. And so I was really ready to change by the beginning of 2011, and you're surfing out in front of your this tsunami of bad decisions, and then when you stop, that's when you get swamped. So, there was all kinds of issues, legal issues, everything like that, and I just decided I was going to change my life, and I didn't care what it looked like. I was going to,
that's really remarkable to have the courage to do that. I mean, I think that takes a lot of strength.
I think change is inevitable to some capacity. It's just how are we going to change, And so I was. And society has a way of marginalizing people. You got to have those people, And so I don't know. I always felt like one of those people prior to going in there. You think that we make mistakes because it's who we are instead of, no, this is just a misstep, but maybe not the most intelligent way to do things. And so the people in Team Challenge,
it doesn't have to be this way for forever.
It doesn't have to be this way forever. If you don't like something, shift gears, slap it in a third and change it.
Yeah.
And so going through Teen Challenge was really eye-opening in terms of my own capacity to sort of navigate my own vessel through life. And so I've maintained a really close rapport with those folks, Brandon Torgerson, Nick Olson, the Caspers, and it's an amazing program. They've got a really high success rate. They're making a difference down there. I don't necessarily consider myself a Christian as much anymore, but I eat the meat and spit out the bones, and wisdom is where humility lives. So I love people in recovery. I've stayed really close with them. I'm tattooing a lot of staff that is in there,
that's awesome.
And it's nice to support that because it is a conversation starter.
Now, you just did one for Brandon.
I did one for Brandon.
Yeah.
I have to throw him out there. Hey, Brandon. Sorry.
Remember the photo?
Yeah, he's great too. He's just he's the director down there. I've done a lot of gang cover-ups on people down there.
Oh, it's fabulous that, you're willing to be honest and transparent about your story. I think we all have tough chapters in life, and have not always been the best versions of ourselves or made the best decisions. And I think it's important for folks. I absolutely believe that someone will hear this, see this, and hear you talking about where you've been and where you are now, and be inspired to make a positive step in their own life. So I just kudos for being willing to do that. You never know who you touch.
If I can do it, anybody can do it. It's possible, know, and nobody gets through life without making mistakes or missteps. There's no greater teacher. And
sometimes they're more public, and sometimes they're not. Society judges some different.
That's true. I think that it's always possible to shift gears and whatnot. And if someone has the capacity to learn from a misstep, then it's not a mistake at all. It's a lesson, and those are good because it teaches us. I say that the smart person can learn from their own mistakes. The wise person can learn from the mistakes of others. And the fool never learns. I've worn all the hats.
Dude, you were full of the quotes and the sayings. I didn't know this.
I like to write them down. I hear a lot from my clients. I give away all the credit. I hear a lot of things from.
But your retention of them is remarkable.
It's. I've been a student of philosophy. A lot of those mistakes led to jail time, so I was able to read into, back in the day and apply some of this stuff. But I'm a big proponent of. I don't sweep my past under the rug. I just try to let it be a light.
Own it, right? So you must get to see sort of cross section of the community in the work that you do, right? And
I do.
Even any of the artwork you do takes time. Even the what you did for me. We were together for a bit, so you end up talking with, and clearly a sociable person can carry on a conversation. So what's that like, just to get to interact with the spectrum of the community?
Vast majority of the time, it's a joy. It can get heavy, but for the most part, it's amazing. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's important. Everybody's overcome things. I really think that,
and they're there to mark something.
They're there to really
probably get to hear some of their most deepest stories.
Absolutely. It's life isn't easy, and I think tattoos. I always joke where tattoo artists are where the therapists come for therapy. And
I'm going to tell my therapist that, hey,
she's probably got one hidden somewhere, But
she's military, so I suspect she does.
The military really carried the industry through the 20th century, really. But I think tattoos are a way of just declaring our autonomy, our independence, our individuality, We are a very social species, I'd say, but we all have our own individual story and path, and I mean, if a butterfly can flap its wings and create a hurricane on the other side of the world, how much effect can one human being have? And so
for sure.
To hear that story and just to see the cool ways people have navigated this wild thing called life. It's
really cool. You get to hear those stories while doing this, helping them memorialize, really, right?
Yeah.
I mean, generally a tattoo is the rest of your life. Yeah. It's got to be cool to be such a big part of that. Somebody has an idea that's connected to something really deep and personal often. Not always. I've heard some tattoo stories that are not very significant. They might have involved adult beverages. And
the more you get, the more frivolous they tend to be.
Do they? Okay.
The first one is highly meaningful. By tattoo, 38.
Yes. I remember my first one. I was like, "Am I really going to do this? I've never been a tattoo
dealer's
person."
choice after a while.
And then it was like, "Oh, yeah, whatever." So you're a parent, an artist, a business owner, and about to embark on a new business venture. Tell us about that.
This is true. I'm in the process of starting a cannabis company.
Okay.
So I learned some months back, better part of a year ago, that there was a social equity program, and for the most part, missteps in the past have been sort of something I've had to overcome, work through, process, take responsibility for.
For sure.
And but due to getting in trouble for marijuana, it actually qualified me to become a social equity applicant, and so it's like, wow, and
actually is helpful.
Yeah, like well, I've always thought over the last 20 years, my two favorite passions have gotten more and more socially acceptable between tattoos and cannabis. So it's like, see, it's pretty cool, right? It is a generational thing, though, and because people had to watch Reefer Madness back in the 50s in health class, so it's like it's scary for a lot of people, but as someone who doesn't drink anymore or anything like that, it helps me kind of take the edge off after a stressful week without becoming a road torpedo or being doing drunk people things or anything like that. But
because walk us through the state, like the state did the legalization, and then there were like a set number of license opportunities, and the social equity was a part. But I think for the layperson, super confusing, and you were in the middle of it, and probably still super confusing. But it's
represented some challenges, some a lot of learning. I've had mentors that have helped me through a lot of this. I've been in communication with a lot of other folks in the region that are going for their licensure, and communicating with them, maybe looking for ways to collaborate. I'd love to. It's been a labyrinth, though. It's been a really long rollout. There was some mistakes made last year, so it's been like building a plane mid-flight to some capacity, and a learning curve for everyone. Yeah. So I do have to say that the city of Duluth has been amazing to work with.
Fabulous.
Really,
I always like hearing that.
I don't think y'all get enough credit. Be nice to our city officials. They have a heart for service, but
the city employees are doing their best.
Yeah, we all are, and hopefully that's the goal.
But I heard that from. It wasn't yours. There was another. So my recollection is, I'm going to forget the number, but it maybe is 10 or 12 licenses that Duluth can have based on because it's population, right? So there was a public radio story
I think
about.
It's 7.
What's that?
It's 7.
It's 7. Okay, thanks.
It's for every 12,500 people within the population. So as is the state.
But there was a public radio story about a different business who said the same thing. And actually, it sounds like the first legal opportunity in Minnesota might off I think a tribal property might end up in Duluth. But so how far, like, where are you at in the process? What does that look like? You're breaking new ground.
We're
learning as you go, building it as you fly it.
My partners, Aaron Schwager and Terry Pernshiner. They're amazing people, and one's a lawyer, one's a contractor. When Terry's not, he's actually the equipment manager for the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, wow.
But he's not running a
Professional sports
very successful contracting firm. But we're waiting on building permits right now.
Okay.
I took Aaron out for a cup of coffee last December, I think, and was just like, hey, would you be willing to sell a building on a contract for deed? It's the old Gardner Hotel located at 12 North Lake.
Yep.
It's been sitting vacant for 20 years. A&L Properties, and
long as
Rob
I can
Link left
remember.
it there
Yeah.
on purpose. At one time, it was one of the tallest buildings in Duluth, though, originally
kidding.
constructed, started in 1890.
Here's your historic eye coming in too. So
And I don't know, projects tend to follow me, but I've always had an affinity for that building since I was working with an interior designer. What's up, Corey? She's married to my buddy Ben, and he's an awesome guy too. I boxed with him a lot at Jungle Boy.
Okay.
At the gym. But
and Jungle Boy.
yeah,
Shout out.
Zach. So yeah, I mean, I took him out, and I asked him if he'd be willing to sell a building on a contract for deed, and I walked out with not only that, but a partner. Yeah, so it was a great cup of coffee.
Assuming you wanted one. So.
But it's really exciting. We named the business the joint venture. We're doing business as Duluth Cannabis.
Oh, clever.
But,
I got you. All right.
But I'm almost as excited to build this old, cool, historic building out, and as I am to start the cannabis company. But
Because you're looking at lodging in addition to, because it's a big building.
It's three stories above the. It's 4-story building, but the 3 upper floors. We're hoping to ultimately turn into. The second floor, we're going to do apartments. The 3rd floor and the 4th floor, we're just going to do it sequentially.
Yeah.
And
build it out.
and hopefully we're going to be doing a lounge in there.
Okay.
Like a members only lounge.
Okay.
So we'll be able to offer entertainment, comedy, and music. And
Great.
I thought
But adding
about
some
coming
residential and
out.
residence to downtown.
That's the view. Yeah, that's the goal. And so I would love to just do the whole thing, but we're just going to.
Be responsible about
one bite at a time.
Nice.
So stay in balance.
How far out do you think you are with?
We're hoping for October 1st, November 1st.
Okay.
I think when the building permits come through officially, we're just going through the dotting I's and crossing T's, making sure that everything's safe, and the engineer's going through all the stuff right now. But I'm really excited because I think it represents a huge opportunity for Duluth. I mean, I think it costs $110 million or something to run the city. Essentially, that's our budget.
112, yeah.
112. So,
Well done.
I'm an artist, not a mathematician. But I see this really elevating the commercial tax base here.
Great.
I see this reducing the property taxes for everybody. I see this fixing our roads.
Yeah.
Giving our teachers raises. If we follow the model in other states, I know that 35% typically goes to infrastructure, bridges and stuff, 35% to education, and then the remaining 30 gets split up between local, county, and state municipalities and stuff. So I really do see this as a way to help.
And I think for those who are like uncomfortable or maybe in opposition, I mean, you look at the reality that, I mean, as you sort of said earlier, it's not like that marijuana isn't out there already, right? It
Let's tax it and regulate it. Keep it safe.
So
I mean, there's cases where there's fentanyl being found in marijuana. That's horrifying at a college party. I mean, it's the landscape is different now.
It's never been hard to find, but this allows for safer, more control.
Yeah.
And, all those things you said, an ability for communities to generate some income in relation to that. And I mean, honestly, you're seeing, you talked about it earlier, but with generational change, far less, it's been really problematic for the microbrewers, microdistillers. They're seeing that really decline because of THC and other related products. So, I mean, it's part of the economy now, and in legal ventures in Minnesota. So
yeah, Well, I'm excited to see the money stay here. Like I said, I've been communicating a lot and I intend to do more of it as things get rolling. With other license applicants and business owners in the cannabis industry, and I would just love to see. I think the Walmarts of the world may win someday, but the longer we can keep it local, keep the money here,
Well, I know I've talked to somebody who's looking at a growing facility in Hermantown, so trying
Jason,
who is very on the same page as you, as like, this was news to me. There are like national retailers who are in this space that would love for a local to not be there, right? They want to be the waste management, or as you said, the Walmart of the industry. So that's great.
It's cool because I think the social equity program that the Office of Cannabis Management instituted is really driven towards that. I've been working with Abe of the local 1189 down in the cities, and they've got to, sign a peace labor agreement and stuff like that. So they're doing what they can to sort of keep it insulated and keep the money here, because the liability is that an out-of-state conglomerate gets it, and it becomes a revenue vacuum that sends the money to California or Colorado or some other place that has already given their teachers raises and fixed all the roads. Yeah. So it's exciting.
Well, as we get to the end, as I mentioned, and as our regular viewers know, we have a few questions that we routinely ask our guests. So I've got 5 of those, and the first one, Chris, is what's your go-to local restaurant?
Oh, wow. There's so many great ones. I'm going to have to go, where we went the other day? It's the old Bennett's on the Lake down there.
Oh, really?
Is the boat club.
And
we sat right out on, we had my partner Aaron and I and his niece, Anna, who's awesome. She might be coming and working with us at the company. But we sat out there. It was just amazing.
Outdoors on the patio.
Outdoors on the patio. It's like this little, it's this little secret spot that it's not always right in your way, in your face. But I really love the boat club. I guess they're doing productions now too.
Yeah,
boat club productions. Plays.
There's actually
adding some culture.
I'm a sponsor, so I should remember what they call the series. But yes, they do a series of plays. So Jeff and Jason, if you're listening, there you go. You just got a plug for the restaurant.
Proud.
So, well, how about a favorite annual Duluth event? We have a lot of them.
Yeah. I'd have to go with Grandma's. I mean, it's probably one of the first annual events I can remember coming to, because my grandparents lived here even prior to me living in Duluth. So we'd come, and summertime was a big thing. So I got to go with Grandma's Marathon, and it pays a lot of bills around here too, doesn't it?
And
the coordinate,
puts us on the map, nationally. I will travel, and people will know of Grandma's. They'll know of Duluth because of Grandma's Marathon. So, but it's funny. I always, and Shane Bauer, the executive director, knows. We've talked about this. It seems like people are like all about it, or they leave town. It's just like there isn't a lot of in between. They're just like, I'm
both. I'm all about it, and I leave town.
Okay. I'm all about it. I think it's fantastic.
I will run it one day.
All the people here. I inadvertently, in front of about 500 people, said I was going to run the full next year because it's the 50th anniversary.
That's right.
And I got done speaking, and I went and sat down, and I said to the table, I'm like, I think I just said I'm running the full next year. And they were all like, yes, you did. I'm like, okay, all right, let's do this. So you've lived and been all over town. Your favorite view of anywhere in Duluth?
Oh, boy, there's so many perspectives.
Yeah, there are, for sure.
Perspective is everything. I'd have to say my favorite, though, is with a northeast bearing heading right out of the canal from the stern of a boat.
Oh, well done.
It's a whole other city from the lake. As it is from the air. You're a pilot into sailor.
For sure, yeah.
So you understand that it's a whole other city.
Yep. And that's, it's very true. You come out of the bridge and take a minute to turn around. And you just feel like, everything just changed.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing shifted 180. And now, especially in the evening when the sun is going down and all the lights of the city start.
The city just sparkling.
Yeah. And if it's a night where it's reflecting off the lake, it's, good call.
Yeah. That's a marvel. And it's going to be a good like, you're on a boat. How can you?
Like, we won't do the song, but it's in my head now. So, okay, where do you take visitors when they come to visit in Duluth?
Oh, wow. I like the little nooks. We were thinking of even like setting up a geocache situation with the Duluth Cannabis Company that kind of maybe had 50 points of interest throughout the city. There's so many little hidden crooks and cracks in this city. I think all the tributaries that dissect it and feed the lake. Tisher Creek is really, I've got some really great memories down there over in Congdon area. Yeah. But Lincoln, Lincoln Park, Lester. Yeah. A lot of time swimming here and there, but I like to show them the lake, Lincoln Park's a great spot too. Yeah. I think really new visitors, there's a little bit of everything down there.
And so many people know the Craft District, the Superior Street section. Yeah. But you get up above 3rd Street in the park itself with Miller Creek, beautiful park. And you go all the way up to like where the old stone bridge is over 10th Street, and you've got it's, for me, I run through there a lot on the hiking trail, and that's I think a lot of people now know, especially visitors, they might know of Lincoln Park because of some of the businesses that are there, but don't know that there's actually a park in Lincoln Park, and that it's a beautiful spot. So it's
undergone some revitalization and stuff too, hasn't it, in recent years? I haven't been out there in a while.
We'll put a plug in the Music in the Park series. I think there's a couple more. There's one next week, and then there's another one the week after because of a rain date. So, okay, final question: ice cream or donuts?
Oh wow, I gotta go with ice cream.
There you go. All right. There's no wrong answer actually between the two of them. So, do you have a favorite ice cream shop in town?
Boy, I think I have to plug Bridgman's, Emily.
All right.
I graduated with the owner of Bridgman's.
You know what I discovered about Bridgman's?
What?
They have fantastic food.
Oh, yeah.
We went there for brunch one weekend, and I always thought of it as an ice cream place and have had lots of ice cream there, but we actually just went for food and no ice cream, and I was like, this is really great and affordable and a lot of it.
And it's cute as a button up there, She's done a great job.
Cool. So. Well, Chris, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks
being
so
willing
much
to talk about where you've been, sharing your story, which I think will connect with folks and talk about your passion and your business and your new business. I just really appreciate it. So
thanks so much, Roger.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. Well, friends, thank you for joining us on another episode of Welcome to Duluth. We will continue to do these on about a monthly basis. I think next up we'll rotate back to a city service. So stay tuned for that one and continue to enjoy your summer. Thanks, Duluth.